You think you can just walk away from this? You are mistaken. How dare you accuse me of such a thing?
I didn't shot the thing.
I know what I saw.
What would you do if you were treated like a criminal just for walking into a public building? It was Tuesday morning in the marble halls of the federal courthouse in Washington, D.C., sunlight streaming through tall windows casting long shadows across the polished floors. The air carried the scent of cleaning solution and the echo of footsteps from early morning visitors. Security checkpoints hummed with activity as metal detectors beeped and guards processed ID cards. But one person wasn't following the usual routine. Patricia Williams walked through the front entrance with quiet confidence, wearing simple jeans, white sneakers, and a navy cardigan. At 52, she carried herself with an understated authority that most people missed entirely. But what happened next would change everything and reveal just how dangerous assumptions can be. Patricia Williams wasn't what anyone expected. Behind her warm smile and casual Tuesday morning outfit was one of the most powerful law enforcement officials in the country. She'd spent 30 years climbing the ranks of the FBI, from a field agent in Detroit to heading major investigations that made national headlines. She preferred taking the metro to work instead of her official car. She bought her own coffee from the corner shop, always remembering the barista's name. When visiting field offices, she insisted on flying commercial, often sitting in coach despite having access to government jets. Most people saw a middle-aged black woman in comfortable clothes and made their assumptions. Store clerks followed her around. Restaurant hostesses assumed she couldn't afford the good tables. But Patricia Williams had learned long ago that being underestimated was sometimes an advantage. It showed people's true character before they knew who they were dealing with. Marcus Thompson wasn't new to the power that came with his security badge. 5 years at the federal courthouse had carved deep lines of authority into his face and built up his confidence in ways that weren't always healthy. He prided himself on running a tight ship. "Nobody gets past me without proper credentials," he'd tell new guards. "I don't care if they claim to be the president himself." He'd made headlines once for stopping a senator who'd forgotten his ID, and that taste of authority had gone straight to his head. The courthouse lobby was his kingdom, marble columns, American flags, the seal of justice etched into the floor. Other guards deferred to his judgment. Visitors learned quickly that challenging Marcus Thompson was a mistake, but Marcus liked it that way. In his mind, respect meant fear, and fear meant order. He stood 6'2" in his crisp uniform, hand always resting near his radio, eyes scanning every person who entered his domain. In Marcus Thompson's mind, he was the first line of defense between order and chaos, and he took that responsibility very seriously. It was 9:30 a.m. when Patricia Williams approached the main security checkpoint. The morning rush was winding down, leaving the lobby quieter than usual with just a few attorneys and visitors scattered about. Marcus Thompson stood behind the metal detector, clipboard in hand, already irritated by a printer malfunction earlier that morning. His eyes locked onto Patricia as she walked toward his station, taking in her casual clothes and relaxed demeanor. The first interaction began simply. "Ma'am, I'm going to need to see some ID," Marcus said, no greeting, his voice carrying the weight of absolute authority. Patricia smiled warmly, reaching into her purse. "Of course, good morning." Marcus barely glanced at her driver's license before handing it back. "This doesn't give you access to this building. What's your business here?" Patricia's eyebrows raised slightly, nodding his dismissive tone. Other visitors shuffled nervously behind her, sensing the tension building. Marcus crossed his arms, his radio crackling with routine chatter from other guards. Marcus Thompson stepped closer to his metal detector, blocking Patricia's path more deliberately. "Ma'am, I asked what your business is here. This is a federal building, not a tourist attraction. Patricia maintained her calm composure, her voice steady and respectful. I have official business here. I'd like to proceed through security, please. The tension in the lobby became palpable. A young attorney waiting behind Patricia glanced around nervously. An elderly man visiting for jury duty cleared his throat uncomfortably. Patricia noticed a courthouse employee at the information desk watching the interaction with growing concern. Official business, Marcus scoffed. Look, lady, I don't know what kind of game you're playing, but you're going to need a lot more than official business to get past me. I understand you're doing your job, Patricia replied, her tone still measured but with a subtle edge of firmness. But I do have the authority to be here. Marcus felt his authority being questioned, his face flushing with indignation. The morning's frustrations bubbled over as he looked Patricia up and down, taking in her casual appearance with obvious disdain. Several more people had gathered behind her, creating a small crowd of uncomfortable witnesses. That's when Marcus Thompson crossed a line that would cost him everything. Let me guess, you're probably here for some kind of hearing, right? Maybe applying for food stamps or something. This isn't the welfare office, sweetheart. Patricia Williams went very still, her jaw tightening almost imperceptibly. The lobby fell silent except for the hum of fluorescent lights and distant elevator chimes. Every person within earshot had stopped what they were doing. I'm going to ask you one more time to allow me to proceed through security, Patricia said, her voice quiet but carrying an unmistakable authority that made several witnesses look at her more carefully. Marcus Thompson was too far gone to recognize the warning. And I'm going to tell you one more time that you don't belong here. Maybe try the community center down the street. I bet that's more your speed. The courthouse employee at the information desk had picked up her phone, clearly uncomfortable with what she was witnessing. Patricia noticed this, along with the shocked faces of the other visitors. A federal judge walking through caught the tail end of the exchange and paused, his expression grave. Sir, I strongly suggest you reconsider your approach, Patricia said, her hand moving toward her purse with deliberate calm. Marcus puffed out his chest, his radio crackling. Are you threatening me? Because I can have the police here in 2 minutes and trust me, they'll sort this out real quick. The moment hung in the air like a storm about to break. Patricia Williams had reached her decision point, and Marcus Thompson had no idea what was coming. Patricia Williams pulled out her phone with measured precision and dialed a number she knew by heart. Agent Rodriguez, this is Director Williams. I'm in the courthouse lobby, and I seem to be having some difficulty with security. Marcus Thompson's face went through a series of changes, confusion, then disbelief, then the first creeping edge of panic. The color began draining from his cheeks. Director, lady, what kind of game are you? He started, but Patricia held up one finger while continuing her call. Yes, I'll hold for a moment. Could you also send Agent Chen down to verify my identity? Thank you. She ended the call and looked directly at Marcus, her entire demeanor having shifted from casual visitor to commanding authority. I am Patricia Williams, Director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Would you like to see my credentials now? Marcus Thompson's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. His hand trembled as he reached for his radio, then stopped, then reached again. The lobby had gone dead silent, even the usual background chatter from other security stations had ceased. You can't be, he stammered, his voice cracking. Patricia calmly opened her wallet and displayed her FBI director credentials, the gold badge catching the morning light, her official photo staring back at him with the same calm confidence she'd shown throughout the encounter. The courthouse employee who'd been watching rushed over. Director Williams, oh my God, I am so sorry. I should have recognized you immediately. Within minutes, 2 FBI agents in crisp suits came through the elevator, heading straight for Patricia. Director Williams, we got your call. Is there a problem here? Marcus Thompson looked like he might faint. His face had gone completely ashen and his hands were visibly shaking now. Agent Rodriguez, a seasoned FBI veteran, immediately assessed the situation. Other courthouse security guards had gathered, their faces showing a mixture of horror and fascination as they realized what their colleague had done. Director Williams, should we file an incident report? Agent Chen asked, pulling out a notebook. Patricia nodded calmly, her professionalism never wavering despite what she'd endured. Yes, please document everything, and I'd like to speak with the head of courthouse security immediately. Marcus Thompson finally found his voice, but it came out as a pathetic whisper. Director, I didn't know. I mean, how was I supposed to? Mr. Thompson, Patricia interrupted, her voice carrying the authority of someone who'd commanded respect in rooms with presidents and foreign leaders. Ignorance of my identity is not the issue here. The issue is how you treated what you assumed was just another citizen seeking access to their own government. The head of security, Captain Sarah Mitchell, appeared within minutes, her face grave as she took in the scene. Director Williams, I cannot begin to apologize for this incident. Other visitors in the lobby watched in stunned silence as the most powerful law enforcement official in the country handled the situation with grace and professionalism that stood in stark contrast to the humiliation she'd just endured. Marcus Thompson's attempts to explain himself fell on deaf ears, as Captain Mitchell immediately began the process of removing him from his post. 3 weeks later, the story had made national headlines. Marcus Thompson was not only fired but blacklisted from federal security positions. His actions had triggered an investigation into discriminatory practices in courthouse security that led to mandatory bias training for all federal security personnel. Patricia Williams returned to her regular routine, still taking the metro, still buying coffee from her favorite shop. But now courthouse staff recognized her immediately, not because of her title, but because of how she'd handled herself during the incident. The young attorney who'd witnessed the encounter reached out to thank her for handling the situation with such dignity. You could have destroyed him immediately, she wrote, but you gave him every chance to do the right thing. Marcus Thompson ended up taking a job as a night security guard at a shopping mall. His federal career permanently ended. In interviews, he claimed he'd learned from the experience, but those who knew him weren't convinced he truly understood the deeper issues his behavior had revealed. Patricia Williams used the incident as a teaching moment in speeches to law enforcement agencies across the country. Respect isn't earned through fear, she would say. It's given freely to every person who walks through our doors, because in America, dignity isn't something you have to qualify for. The courthouse lobby now displays a plaque about treating all visitors with equal respect and dignity. A permanent reminder of what happens when assumptions replace humanity. Never judge a book by its cover, it's an old saying, but this story proves how relevant it still is today. Patricia Williams could have walked into that courthouse in her full FBI director regalia, with a security detail and official fanfare. Instead, she chose to move through the world as an ordinary citizen, and that choice revealed the true character of those around her. The real lesson isn't about who Patricia Williams was, but about how Marcus Thompson chose to treat someone he thought had no power. Respect and dignity should never be conditional on someone's title, appearance, or assumed status in life. Every day we make split-second judgments about the people we encounter. But what if that person you're dismissing, ignoring, or treating poorly is someone who could change your life for better or worse? More importantly, what if they're just a human being who deserves your basic respect regardless of who they are? If you've ever been in Patricia's shoes, share your story in the comments. And if you've ever been the Marcus in someone else's story, remember, it's never too late to choose respect over assumptions. Don't forget to subscribe for more incredible stories of justice, karma, and the power of treating everyone with the dignity they deserve.